Hey, what's up? I'm JP, SEO specialist and web developer here in San Francisco. I enjoy researching sales processes, buyer psychology, and turning online roadblocks into revenue. This is the Digital Growth Sage channel where I break down and air out the tough stuff that's actually stopping your brand from scaling online. No fluff, just actionable steps to get you moving faster. So today we have a special guest, Daniel Bort, who's joining us from Spain and Barcelona. What's up, Daniel? Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, John. It's a pleasure to be here with you and looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Right on. I'm glad that we're able to make this work today. Daniel has been my ace in a pocket. He is the brain behind a ton of the tactics that happen here in our workspace. And so today we're going to go over a few of our case studies, go over a little bit of information about ourselves and our history. And we hope you stay till the end so you can see some actionable results in terms of the clients that we're helping and the results that they're getting. So cool. So first off, for context, can you share how we started working together and what role you played on our SEO projects?
Yeah, I've been working in the SEO industry for a while already. It definitely feels like a while because things change so fast. But it's been 4 years and a half already, and we met. I met with you, John. I remember it was in an SEO community. We was just talking about how to do a good job with our clients, tactics, how to do a better job with the clients that we had. And I remember that we had a couple of conversations, a couple of meetings that were actually very, and probably the people listening to us, you get to communities, you get to events, and everything looks and feels very salesy, right? Everyone is trying to sell you
Yep.
something or their services, coaching, whatever. But those conversations felt like, hey, like we were sharing our stories, what worked for us. And I think from there, we just kept in touch until we decided, hey, it makes sense to work together to make sure that we can deliver good results for our clients. That's how we met.
Absolutely. One of one of the biggest things that like really stuck out to me was one, I had seen the kind of results that you got for your clients in SEO, which in and of itself is a huge masterful thing. But what really knocked my socks off personally was when I spoke to you about some of the challenges I was mapping through in terms of acquisition channels, how to figure out how to set up different ways for lead generation. Like you knew the whole system, not just SEO, which is one of the reasons why I was able to trust you so much with what you've helped me with and what we've been able to help our clients with as well. So again, grateful for you.
Yeah, that is always, you can always be a specialist. That's not something that is definitely valuable. But if you want to excel, you need to at least understand at a minimum level the other aspects of a business. So for example, if we're looking
Totally.
for tax professionals, we're talking about lawyers, it's very different when you are just a practitioner, you're just doing the job versus when you become an owner. There is so much stuff outside of what you used to do that you need to learn or at least get comfortable to a certain level with. So
Yep.
it's something that it's very nice that both of us we have that experience because we can share that with our client, with the clients,
Absolutely.
which is awesome.
Yep. 100%. Said. Okay, cool. So the next question would be, this is a fun one. I'm actually wondering this myself. How did you first get into SEO and what kept you hooked?
Long story. So when Daniel had more hair, definitely,
Okay.
even before starting working like in the industry proper, I studied business management in the university in Barcelona.
Nice.
And one of the things that I've noticed is, okay, it's a business degree, it's very generic. There's a lot of competition. You have to, if you're an average student, you don't really have that many exits, especially if you don't have contacts, if you don't have that type of circle, which is not humble family, middle income, not a lot of contacts, especially in the industries that I wanted to pursue, which was Big Four, Deloitte, doing that type of stuff,
Yep.
banking, finance. So I decided, you know what, I think if I can do a couple of side projects that they look good in the curriculum, I will have more chances to either get into a better master's or get an opportunity at a good job. So I decided, you know what, At that time, drop shipping was a very big thing. For those who don't know what it is, it's basically you sell stuff, but you own physical products, but you don't own the stock. So it's basically you are putting the catalog of a factory or a supplier there, and then the supplier is directly shipping the products to the consumers. There's a lot of pros. You don't need that much capex. It's pretty. You can go to different suppliers. There's the flexibility there. There are a lot of cons as well, like shipping takes forever, and you don't control quality of the product at all. You have to trust the supplier, and the other technical problems. But it was a good project to start. So I literally just went to Google and said, okay, what's the best tool for online shopping for an e-commerce site? And I created a Shopify store. I did
Nice.
everything that you can do wrong. I did it.
Yeah.
So instead of testing, in this case, in my case, it was a clothing store on an apparel brand. And instead of creating a presence in social media to test everything, to drop this collection slowly to make sure that there is actual demand, I just went all in on the technical side. I created the website. We check all the products that we were going to sell. We order from the supplier. We check everything.
Oh
Took
man.
us like 3 months of work. Like the whole summer was doing that. We did all of that. Of course, that's when I started to learn not only about e-commerce, Shopify, and all the possibilities. And we'll talk about Shopify in a bit
Yep.
because we are working with one client. But also I learned about analytics, SEO, the basic at least. So the grand day, the opening, we were ready. We had all the stock. It looked good. It was nice. We opened and first day, zero sales.
Yeah.
Second day, zero sales.
Oh no.
First week, zero sales.
Oh no.
Second week, zero sales. It's obvious what happened, right? We didn't validate the idea. We didn't create a following, so there wasn't anyone waiting to buy from our store. We didn't even set up ads, so literally no one knew about it. And then the value premise, okay, we're selling clothes, but there wasn't like a strong brand that people could relate. It's more like a type. It was like Shein, for example,
Yeah.
really cheap, fast clothing. But the problem is that we didn't have the infrastructure that Shein has or Zara or whatever brand.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't actually cheaper. So it was a complete disaster, but it was a good experience because I started to learn a bit of the basic of what is SEO, they can find you online, how to set up everything. And I learned as well from my mistakes what things you should do before starting a project.
That's so good. Did that lead into like ending up letting that one go and then just iterating, or did that one finally bubble up into some sales?
No, we launched a couple of ads campaigns and they work. We were making money. The
Ooh,
problem is that, and that's another thing, ads, you can make money, or at least it maybe look profitable, but if your cost of acquisition is too high, you kill your margins and therefore you cannot scale it.
got
So
you.
we were in that situation where we were making money. We were, let's say, $100 worth of revenue. To get it cost us like 20, but our margins were so low that cost of acquisition just killed everything. So we're actually burning cash to make money, which it's basically how every new startup works, right?
Right.
OpenAI, Anthropic,
Yep.
all these startups. The problem is that it wasn't a revolutionary idea, therefore I couldn't access like billions of dollars of funding.
That makes
So
sense. That's totally fair.
and
No, it sounds like whenever somebody has those kinds of experiences, like I've had experiences where I've bumped my head on enough things throughout a single room or some environment where that environment is now permanently mapped in my head for the rest of time. And it sounds like that's the way SEO is mapped inside of the both of us, like especially from your experience. And these are the things that needed to be figured out in order for this environment to be operating at the highest level. And like you got there, which is not something that everybody does. Usually it's a difficult process to understand the technical aspects of how Google aligns pages, how your website architecture is set up, product descriptions. There's a ton there. And kudos to you for getting through the tough parts of it. Next question would be what's one of the biggest and most memorable SEO projects that you've been able to work on, and what's made it special for you?
I think this question I can separate this into the two sides of the coin in a good way and in a bad way.
Okay.
I think the bad experience sells a bit more, the clickbait there,
Yeah.
bad ways. So I was working at an agency as the SEO responsible. You can call it SEO director, manager, call it whatever you want. We were in charge of helping a very big brand create their SEO strategy. I think if you don't, can I mention the brand?
Yeah.
Perhaps some, yeah. So there is this multi-corporation, multinational corporation. It's actually based in the US. It's beauty products. So the company is called Kiss USA, and under Kiss USA there are like different brands: Kiss USA, Mascara, Beautify, and Colors and Care. So
Nice.
they're for different groups. There, some of them are lashes, some of them are nails. There are different products. It's very nice. But the problem that we had is that it was my first experience with a very big corporation. Everything was extremely slow. Changes that for a normal website would take me 20 minutes from ideation, putting them in a document, just put it in an Excel on a document just to make sure that, hey, this is the reference that the changes that we're making. In
Yep.
case something goes wrong, we can go back to it and proceeding. And this, I'm talking changing titles. We had to do it over an Excel spreadsheet. Then our internal, the owner of of our agency was checking on top of that. Then we had their marketing responsible at the company checking it out, coming back to the CEO of the marketing agency, and then come back to me. So
Wow.
it was so slow that we couldn't actually implement anything new because and we were working with this company for 10 months. I was working with them for 10 months. We managed to create, I believe, 5 new collection pages. And we are talking that this company, they had coverage from every single media outlet that you can think of. They had backlinks. They had all the authority in the world. The moment that they just launched a new campaign, it was straight to page one. It was a matter of tweaking the words, adding a couple of things, maybe a backlink here, a backlink there, for them to rank number one.
Wow.
And it took us forever because for changing titles, that's something that, for example, the clients, the users don't see within the website. They see it in the SERPs results, but not in the website.
Yep.
There we had a bit more freedom, but when it was time to change things inside the website, that it was user facing, so create new collections, update copies, all this kind of stuff, we had to go through the content team and the design team, and it took forever. And it was one of these experiences that was very frustrating because maybe it's an SEO professional knows something about this. It's very frustrating because this company and this type of companies, they have a lot of resources, they have the authority already, and it's very easy for them to stack these wins. But the bureaucracy and everything is so slow, it was extremely frustrating. Extremely
Wow.
frustrating.
So the approval process was there's so many different iterations in
Yeah,
it.
the hierarchy,
Yep.
the bureaucracy inside, it was so bad that it took us forever to do anything.
Got you.
So yeah.
Man, that's a trip. So usually for companies that are operating at a high level of efficiency, is there a more streamlined approach to
Yeah,
that process?
yeah, definitely. What you should do is this, and here the word is responsibility.
So
You need
good.
to make sure from the company's or the client's perspective, who's the responsible for approving or disapproving the initiatives of the agency.
Yep.
Because then everything can be streamlined. Because there are situations where I'm talking with a manager who's going to have an opinion about something, but he or she is not the last, doesn't have, they don't have the last word. I have to change their stuff. Then you go back to the actual person responsible. And the situations is, okay, why I'm not talking with them already?
Right.
So I understand that when the teams are bigger, the companies are bigger, there are more teams involved. You have content, you have marketing, you have sales. You can even have like online channels,
Yep.
period. So this can be website, Amazon listing, Walmart listings, social media listings. But if you make it, there's a person responsible for this, the communication is much faster and allows the marketing agency to be a bit more creative, to be able to do a better job in general.
Absolutely. I'd say the best version that I've seen this done at, and I mean my view of leading the pack when it comes to SEO is still limited, but we're gaining experience. The best time I've ever seen this done was when I was working at UV Skins. The marketing manager there, he had a way to triage all of the main decisions inside of his workspace so that all of the people under him would be on the same page. We had an SEO team that came and helped with our product descriptions and some of our catalogs, he would be the only guy that would make all of the decisions, write out a quick email for his team, and then be able to deploy those decisions to his team. I thought that was very clever. But what would be the flip side of this coin in terms of maybe one of the best versions of a project that you've come across?
Yeah, this is actually very different. So we were talking about a very big corporation, multiple brands, a lot of millions in revenue,
Yep.
to a very small company, two people, small business. And they still are lawyers. So it's their Gabriela
Mhm.
and the husband, Pablo. They
Yeah.
both operate a criminal defense attorney business, very small. And the problem that they had is that they were getting not that many calls and the quality was pretty bad in general. So the problem with this, if we have any criminal attorneys watching this, they probably know how it is. Unlike trust attorneys, where the clients, they go there, they already talk about this, they come with their ideas very nicely clear. When you call a criminal attorney, you basically are in the stuff. Like you had an accident, you had a problem, you are literally getting into jail or custody or whatever it is, and you need to call an attorney. So there are a lot of things that can go bad, like people getting into the calls, not picking the calls, for example, because maybe they are getting arrested at 2 a.m. So you need to take all of those things into consideration. So the amount of calls and the quality was pretty bad.
Gotcha.
And that's something that we talked with them because they were saying, hey, we don't have that much runway to invest. Like we need to see results there. And here is where we make a difference, and we'll talk about this a bit later, between clients who ask us, hey, what can we do on top of your work to help you and ourselves, of course,
Yep.
get more out of the services, versus clients who say, hey, I pay you, I forget about it, and that's it. You can still get good results, but it's not going to be nearly the same quality.
Right.
So we started working with them on how to get reviews, when to ask clients, contact, making a list, going back to existing clients, get as many reviews as possible, because that will allow us to get for those terms that are more interesting, for those keywords, and start getting into positions where people were calling you. Well, if you are maybe top 6, the calls that you're getting are not as good as the people who are within the top 3, right?
100%.
So we slowly did that, and over this last year, 2025, we managed to. In the beginning of 2025, they had around 5 calls per month that were longer than 60 seconds. This is usually like a metric that we kind of use to make sure that it at least is a relevant call. If it's not relevant, usually it takes less than 60 seconds to say, hey, it's not relevant.
Smart.
To nowadays, they get in around 25 of these calls, more than 60 seconds. And even within that frame, more than 60 seconds, the quality has improved. And this is something that I really like, because it shows that with time, effort from both parts, you can get very good results. So that
Absolutely.
makes me happy, because in these small companies, I have the opportunity to talk with the real people behind it. I can ask them, hey, I'm going to throw you the numbers later. How are the calls? Are you feeling like you're getting better cases? How does this work? What type of practices, or what's the reason they're calling you? Oh, they're calling me more because of car accidents, or they're calling me more because DUI, or they're calling me more, and you get this information and you talk with them. And I love that.
Man, so it sounds like they went from what, 6 calls to over 20, 25 calls. That's
Yeah,
around
from
a,
5 to 25 approximately.
so for anyone that's listening, if they received an increase in their law firm on a month-to-month basis, that can realistically change the trajectory of what you're bringing in on a yearly
Yeah.
rev
Yeah, no, definitely.
at a high level. And
Definitely.
so
Technically, it's right. 5 to 25, that's like a 5x, right?
that's
5 times
pretty,
5.
that's a
Yeah, so
huge jump. Congratulations, man.
it's
That's awesome.
it's pretty good. Congratulations to them.
To
They've
them
been
too.
doing an awesome job
If
for
they're out there and they're listening, well done, you guys. We see you. We see you winning. All right, cool beans. So, quick question. What type of SEO work do you enjoy the most now? Would it be like technical, content, local, or something else?
SEO is so wide, and in the beginning, you do everything when you're starting, especially if you are not in a like on a structure. Either if you're in a small company or you're freelancing, you usually do a bit of everything because it is what it is. You don't have people, maybe your
Yeah,
clients don't have budget to rely on others.
that's real.
So you end up having doing a bit of everything. Content is not, I do content and it's something that I certainly enjoy doing, but I'm not very good at it. I'm always the analytical person. I like data. I like to set up stuff. I like to build things. To be fair, I enjoy local and technical the most. Local because you're usually talking with small businesses, and I really love to work with small businesses because you have the opportunity to talk with them, and that's already that makes the job feel better rather than I'm just doing. I think a lot of professionals, you guys call it in the States white collar. So when you are in a computer that sometimes you don't feel like you're doing something meaningful. You're making whatever amount of money it is, but you're not doing something meaningful. But working with these clients, with these small firms, small American businesses,
Yep.
it's it's really something that I love to do because I talk with them, I see their problems, I can help them, and then I see how grateful they are after the results. And also, if there's also if because sometimes things don't go well, you can have these hard conversations with them, help them, and you see how passionate they are about their business. So that's definitely what I enjoy the most. Technical, it's cool. I like to build stuff. I like to go into the back end, set up, okay, let's do an analytics system where we basically track every call from what page inside the website it comes. So then we can say, okay, this is the content that converts better. I enjoy that. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
The human aspect of the business is what I love the most. I
No, right
think
on.
local is the closest because small businesses usually benefit the most.
That's beautiful. Because we can always make like websites run faster. We can always make sure things look
Yeah,
more aligned. And of course, that has major results for the clients that we're working with. But like you
for
said, at the
sure.
end of the day, it's that human aspect in terms of can we help these businesses with momentum to see what it is we're seeing and to get to those same high fives in terms of we're both feeling good about like the milestones we're reaching. That's so good. That's healthy. I love that. Okay, so this is a fun one, and this is for anybody who is working on their website or has a DIY approach or a small marketing team with either your CPA or your accounting firm. So the question to Daniel is, what do you see as the common SEO mistake that most professional service firms are making in 26? Yeah,
That's a very tough
it's
question.
it's
I'm gonna go for three things.
okay.
Three things. First one is have basic analytics. You need basic analytics. If you don't know what Google Search Console is, you need to do a bit of research. It doesn't take too much time, to be honest. Set it up. It's very easy. Upload the sitemap. That's already gonna make it so easy for you first to see how your website is performing. Also, you're giving Google a lot of tools to check your website, see what's going on, and position you better. So I'm not gonna go into very technical stuff, but the crawling, the indexing, those are terms that are very important. And being Google Search Console, having your website connected there with a proper sitemap, it really helps. It really helps with that. The second tip would be practice area slash service areas.
Mm,
I see a lot of firms where their service slash practice area is basically a one pager with a list of all the services or all the practices that they serve.
yep,
That's horrible.
yep,
That's horrible. And you have to think when you create a page or content, you need to think for two people. You're doing that for two different groups. Google, Bing, search engines in general, and
Hmm.
users. Okay. And creating a service page or practice area that is just basically a list of all the services doesn't help any of them. For the search engines, they go there, they crawl, they check the whole page, they see, oh, okay, you just put a list of all the services. I'm not sure what this page specifically refers to, and there's also not that much information about any of these services. So it doesn't rank for absolutely anything. And then from the user's perspective, if I
So
go
good.
because I need a criminal attorney because I had a DUI, I need a DUI lawyer, and I see your page and it's just a list of all the services and DUI appears to be there versus a lawyer that has a specific page mentioning, hey, this is what happens when you have a DUI. This is why we are a best option because we had XYZ cases already that we've helped.
Yep.
A clear CTA, like free consultation, stuff like that.
So
I'm
good.
going to feel like, okay, this is the guy who's going to help me, not the guy that's like just a list of a ton of practice area. So
Yep.
that's super important, both for getting more traffic and for converting better. And then the last one, there is also a lot of law firms that they have already like content that is performing. It can either be like the practice area or practice area slash service pages, or this can be inside the blogs and articles. So there's a lot of law firms or any other professionals who rely on blogs and articles to get traffic. But the problem is that, yeah, you get the traffic, but it doesn't convert. And it doesn't convert because you don't have clear CTAs. You need to integrate CTAs in general across all the content, not just a form at the bottom or in the contact info, but within the content. Within the content. And if you can actually within the text, so you write in the article and you can mention that CTA already,
Yep.
the better,
So good.
the better. Because even if you don't grow, if you don't get more users, if you don't get more visitors, but you manage to convert them, if you have a 1% conversion rate and you manage to get a 2%, you're already doubling the amount of leads that you're getting
Yep.
with the same traffic. So that's the metric that we're not doing. The difficult thing is to bring people. There's a lot of difficult things, but
Yeah.
the math works the same way. You have 1,000 users, you convert at what percent? It's probably harder to get another 1,000 users than it is to get that same 1,000 users and convert 2%. The math is the same, you get in the same, but one is easier than the other one.
And I'd like to double down on what you're saying. When we have these pages, for your second point, when people are making these listicle pages for things that should be service pages, the reason for that is because Google's bots, they want a single page to rank for a single search term. And
Yeah,
if we're targeting multiple terms on one of those listicle service pages, it's not going to show up in the search results or target those specific keywords that we're looking to in the way that
yeah,
we wanted. If I had to add on just one more to this list, it would be
go ahead.
for firms, or I've been seeing service-based businesses really take off with these lovable websites, and more power to everybody. I think that having the capability of AI design while you're still holding the reins over your business and how your brand is showing up online is huge. However, if you're going to be doing it with a coding language like React that only builds out single application pages, you're not going to have the SEO value on any of the other pages throughout the entire website, which is why specifically Daniel and I have a special service that gets your WordPress website and we work on the SEO from there. That way, if you did build out one of these lovable landing pages or a full website for yourself, please take into consideration that the pages outside of the home page aren't going to have any SEO value past them. But if you're looking to rebuild for something that you already published, you can always reach out to us and we can help you out. But
Yeah,
yeah, those would be
definitely.
those key
No,
pieces.
definitely. And I think that AI is pretty good. Certainly has value for landing pages from an ads perspective, for
Yep,
example.
absolutely.
I think it's pretty valuable. But from an SEO perspective, a lot of these tools, first that, as you mentioned, they focus only in that one page. But even in that page, you don't have all the SEO options. So let's say you cannot do as many things as you could with a WordPress site or with a normal CMS. So
Good.
yeah, that's something that it's pretty valuable.
Absolutely. So the next question would be getting a little bit into our clients here. So when we look at our current client roster, what are we most focused on in terms of improvement for them in these first quarters of 2026?
Wow, we are focused on a lot of things,
That's true.
but
Yep.
this is something that I'm seeing a lot. So a lot of agencies out there, they will tell you about impressions, clicks, rankings, and those things are important. But at the end of the day, if that is not getting translated into actual revenue, into actual number calls,
Yep.
it's a bit meaningless. It really doesn't matter at
Right.
all what they're telling you. Yeah, I'm rank one for a keyword that no one searches, doesn't have any relevant traffic, therefore they are not calling me. Or I create content that it's getting traffic, but it's not relevant to the business, therefore we don't have any calls from it, then it's pointless. So that's something that and I believe we've really focused on that this 2025, but also 2026, and try to make sure that what the work that we do, that the internal benchmarks for us are as close as revenue as possible. Rankings are a good indicator, clicks are a good indicator, but what it really matters to me is calls, quality of calls. In case of our e-commerce clients, how much revenue are we bringing?
Yep.
So we're trying to focus on that. And in 2026, this first quarter, what we're trying to improve, it's overall, it's not only the analytics set that we already have. I believe we had a strong analytics sets. We're tracking, for example, and this is something that we do standard for all the clients, the call tracking. We have it for every single client. So we literally know who's calling you, how long, if it's a spam, if you're getting calls from wrong service or practice area outside of jurisdiction, whatever it is, we know that and we can act upon that. So that's something that already a lot of agencies don't have there, but we are doubling down on that to integrate it together into a more cohesive analytics panel. And I think that's good for clients, but also for us, because at the end of the day, we need this data to guide our actions. It's not as like plan on stone. I have a pretty good idea of how to start a project, right?
Yep.
And we know how to do that. If the data is telling me that this is not the right approach, that we're not getting the calls, that we're not getting the revenue, then I need to change. But I need the data in order to know what's going on. So
Right.
that's where we're trying to focus right now.
Well worded. And I would say from the trajectory of the clients that we're currently working with, things are going incredibly well. And just so that our clients can get caught up on the same page that we are, I'm going to share a few of my screens real quick. And so the first screen is going to be of one of our clients, the Antique and Art Exchange. I'm just going to quickly go over their websites, maybe a one sentence about them, and then some rankings. Then we'll hop back into some questions. And so the Antique and Art Exchange sells antique furniture and art. They're located in the design district of San Francisco. They've been open for about 30 years. And within those 30 years, they have done amazing. They have helped tons of interior designers, other types of professional services, and collectors in the area. However, for the past few years, they've reached a plateau with the amount of online traffic that they've gotten. Since Daniel and I have worked with them, they're now seeing a surplus of over 150 new customers to their website per day. They were ranked on the second page of Google, and now they're number one across San Francisco, Oakland, and San Mateo. And so that would be our first client, doing extremely well. Our second one is Diamond Bay Tax Service, owned by Angela Luke out in Hayward, California. She is a bookkeeper and tax preparer for businesses and personal preparations. Now, she was ranking somewhere on the seventh page in Google before we started working with her. And after less than, I'd say, 60 days, she is now on the first page of Google for more than four of her target keywords. Her monthly calls have increased by over 60%, and she's extremely happy. Within the first 60 days of working with us, she jumped from page 7 to page number 1 for over 3 of her target keywords. And what that meant for her business was an increase in calls by over 60%. And she's now been able to onboard new employees And the amount of monthly recurring revenue that she received from these services completely covered it over month one and two. And so that's one of the little known value points of SEO is that when it's done right and you are leading the pack in your city, it has the capability to not only handle the initial investment, but to sustainably cover your scaling financials as you guys are moving. And so we do want to pull this apart. That way we can show you the key caveats as to why this did such a good job inside of our workspace. Now, moving over to some of the before and afters, just to give you a good understanding of what this looked like. And so this is the rankings from about December in 2025, where Angela was experiencing anywhere between page 1 to page 7 rankings. You can see that within the half-mile radius around her business, there's not a lot of green, and her monthly calls reflected this. Now, by the time early February hit, the idea is that we'd start in December right before tax season started. And as tax season approached, she would have the rankings she was looking for. And that's exactly what happened. Now, by early February, she was ranking #1 for 4 of her top keywords. And this is what that visually looks like within the half-mile radius around her. She was either #1 through 3 on almost every single block and corner throughout the major downtown Hayward area, which resulted in tons of traffic and phone calls for her. And so what I want to do is to ask Daniel a couple of key questions that really boil into why this happened or why this worked. So first, when we looked over the AAXSF website, what were the biggest issues that we saw right away?
So we saw a couple of things. The first one was the collection pages. So what we always recommend clients, but also whoever is listening to us, is to understand the search intent. I feel like this is something that everyone says, but no one explains what it means. But
So
what it
good.
means, it is. So if you want to rank, so for example, for personal injury lawyer, search it, see what type of results. So you probably see is that the first results, of course, you have the ads, but you also see in the organic section the local pack, the map results. Then you'll have home pages, maybe some service pages, and so on. So in this case, the search intent is a local intent because at the end of the day, someone that is searching for a personal injury lawyer in Miami or in New York or in San Francisco, you don't want to show them results in Vegas, in Chicago, in Illinois, Minneapolis, for example. It doesn't make any sense. So there is a local intent there. We saw with AXSF that most of the keywords that he was trying to rank for, so by vintage mirrors, antique mirrors, furniture, chairs, and so on, what was actually ranking were two things: the Google Merchant Center and the collection pages. But what was happening is that they didn't do any work at all on the collection pages.
Oh, wow.
So this is something that we jumped right off.
Yep.
And actually, that's what part of the strategy. In the beginning, we were going to do the standard process. Okay, let's build some content through blogs, articles, but we saw it so clear that there was so much opportunity just by going through the existing collections, seeing, okay, how are they ranking and how can we improve the collection. So we work internal linking, we work their descriptions of the collections.
So
So
good.
everything creates a cohesive page that it's actually giving more information to Google, the user, and there it's linking to relevant collections. So for example, if you're looking for a large furniture, maybe you want to buy smaller pieces of furniture within that same style to furniture a room. So that's something that we did with the internal linking to make sure that all the related collections are close to for the users and but also to send these signals to Google. So that's something that we really jump off because we saw that there was a massive opportunity here.
Nice. Okay, that sounds good. And like those type of ranking signals for especially collection pages is one of the navigational pages on your site that shows like what are the overarching topics or like categories of clothes, or depending on what e-commerce brand you're in, what's the overarching topic that these people should be able to shop. Daniel was able to notice that those pages were extremely underdeveloped, and after developing them, they had a massive improvement in like where those
Yeah.
pages started ranking. So
Yeah.
that's huge.
And the other cool thing is that once you get these major pages,
Yep.
so for example, antique mirrors, antique furniture, these are very broad terms. Once you start ranking for these terms, you get a bit more data about what type of keywords people are looking. Furniture is very wide. You have antique chairs, antique coffee tables, antique sofas. There is so many subtopics. And the same goes with mirrors. Even with mirrors, you can have gilt mirrors, you can have wooden mirrors, you can have gold mirrors, you can have silver mirrors.
Yeah.
So there's already a world of possibilities where, hey, yeah, of course, antique mirrors or vintage mirrors, they're going to have way more traffic, but also way more competition. It makes sense to go a bit down, right, a level and go for, okay, let's go for gilt mirrors, let's go for gold mirrors, let's silver plated mirrors, wooden mirrors, small wooden mirrors,
So
no?
good. Yep.
So you get a bit more granular, but you eliminate a lot of the competitions. The same happens, right? If you have, and sometimes people, yeah, but my product is very specific. But yeah, but you, for example, let's say that you sell mattresses. You can just have a collection that says mattresses. You can have a collection of mattresses based on the material, based on the size, but also based on who you want to target with. For athletes, they want to sleep very good. You can target those
So
people
good.
with problems, spine problems, people with apnea,
Yep.
people who have different things. You can target also by the user. Same case, you sell gym material, you have a dumbbells. Yeah, you can sell the dumbbell as a collection like a normal dumbbell, but
Yep.
you can also do it by weight.
Ooh.
And that's something that people search. People searching 1 pound dumbbells, 20 pound dumbbells, 30 pound dumbbells, 40 pound dumbbells, and so on. So that's already there. There are a lot of opportunities. Doesn't matter where your audience is. The same goes for if you are an e-commerce store that sells gifts. You have anniversary gifts for every major holiday, but also gifts for romantic people, gifts for people who like video games, keys for people who like robotics, different things. You can also target the person that you want to sell to because
Right.
there's people searching for these type of things.
So good. Okay. And then for AAXSF, once the foundations were fixed, especially once the like collection pages were really dialed in, we started seeing that data come back. What did we specifically do to help them start ranking again in the like the San Francisco area?
So yeah, that's two different things. The funny thing about this business is that they have the e-commerce site and then they have the local aspect of it. At the end of the day, it's a store. People call, people go there, check it. Unless you want to, I feel this is a funny client, a funny industry because people don't usually go and buy that specific product. They usually call you, go to the store, see what you have, check around, ask questions, and then pick the product. So it was very different because we had to create two different strategies for two types of totally different type of clients. One that is nationwide across the US that going online that they're searching for a specific product and you want to target that product.
Yep.
But also we're talking about people within the San Francisco area that they're searching for an antique store, either designers, you mentioned collectors as well. They want to go. So for that strategy, what we basically leverage is the fact that they've been for a long time there. So there is a lot of signals already baked in. You have backlinks, you have mentions, and so on. So what we focus is, okay, what are the main searches? So we change the category to match, hey, this is an antique furniture store, which resemble more than furniture store because furniture store is very general.
Smart.
We also created the service pages and the product pages within the Google business account. So we added most of what we did was check, okay, what are the top 20 products? Let's add them to the product section in Google. And
Smart.
also, what are the main keywords? So when you search for antique store, vintage store, antique store San Francisco, all these type of different keywords, let's put them in the service section of the profile. So when someone searches for those keywords, our profile will be like the match.
Nice.
So that together with the good old trick of getting more reviews is basically made it. So we rank in top one in most of these keywords, for most
Yeah,
of these keywords.
absolutely. Like we said before, they had a plateau at around a couple hundred visitors per day on their website. But after Daniel was finished on the work, especially after sharing that data and getting it approved with the client, he's now seeing, like we were saying earlier, over 150 new people to the website per day. Now, the online equation for revenue is usually traffic times your conversion rate times your average order value equals online revenue. And so what we're really saying here is that he's been able to almost double the amount of traffic, which doubles the amount of opportunities that come in through the door online, which is huge for any business. Now, one of the last things that we were able to do for AAXSF is after they got ranked #1 in San Francisco, very shortly after, Daniel was able to rank them #1 in San Mateo and Oakland across the Bay Bridge, which is a huge footprint for any type of business, especially for the AAXSF folks who were able to see around, I think, a 30 to 40% increase in their monthly calls. Now, could we touch on like what was your approach to expanding their visibility into other cities?
Yeah, so usually for most industries, this is pretty unrealistic. This
Okay.
is not something that you can do within one business profile. And we've talked already about this with a couple of clients. And I think we have a conversation how this works.
Yep.
The way Google Business Profile works is that distance is a super important factor. Where a person searches for that keyword changes the results that you're gonna see. So if you are in the other side of the city and you search something and I search it at the same time, we're gonna get two different results just because distance is a factor there. So for most competitive industries where you have lawyers basically in every major city in the Bay Area or California for that matter, or the US,
Yep.
it's very rare that you're gonna rank within the top three. You can rank, but not within the top three in a different area without having a location. What we recommend our clients is either you set up an office or you get a co-working space. There are very cheap ones. There are some co-working spaces that we've seen it's $30 per month basically, and it's like a digital address. But that's an address that you can use for marketing purposes. With a couple of tricks in our sleeves, you can get the Google verification and get a profile running there.
Yep.
And that's a good way of going to a new city if you don't want to establish an office. But there are certain industries, and I would consider it an antique store within the art industry. It's
Okay.
almost artistic, where there is an area, where there is a place where there's a big concentration. So everyone around goes to that place for that specific thing.
Yep.
It's like an airport, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes in the Bay Area, there are a lot of airports. It's not a very valid argument, but usually when you have these medium-sized cities or small-sized cities, they usually have this area around a specific airport in the main city. So it's very easy because there's only one option. So for this type of industries happens the same, right? You have a big concentration of antique places, stores within San Francisco, but there are not that many outside of San Francisco in the immediate vicinity. So it's very easy for us, if you have a strong presence there, to rank for the other sites. Of course, we have a couple of tricks in our,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's for example, mentioning the keywords within the content is an important thing. The same with the services. You can add some relevant keywords there, and it definitely helps. But it's also because this industry is very specific, and it's in this geographic case. Maybe, for example, you have in New York, you have New York and New Jersey pretty close. Probably there is antique stores in both areas. So
Yep.
you won't probably run for both cities.
No, that's so good. And for the folks that are out there thinking about trying to do this themselves, please, if you can, reach out to our team. Like Daniel and I would love to help so that we can at least talk to you prior to what it is your strategy might be. The biggest thing is if we can share any of the pitfalls that we've learned along the way that can save your business time, energy, and money, like we would love to do that on a phone call and then talk to you about how we can particularly help you win on Google. So those are some fun tidbits on how Daniel and I were able to help this AAXSF group and how specifically Daniel was able to get these kind of results in 3 major cities with a very strong presence from them. And so the next up is going to be Diamond Bay tax case study. Only a couple of questions here, but for this accountant over in Hayward, what were the basics that we did to get handled in like the first month before we really started thinking about rankings? Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, you're picking my brain here. I feel like they
sorry.
don't have to after this. No, it's okay after,
Okay.
but after this interview, if they see the whole thing,
Yeah,
they won't probably have to pay us anything. Just have to play it and repeat every time that they need something. Okay, and just
I might just
stick
cut
to the
it out.
thing. Okay, fair enough. So the basics.
Yeah,
The situation was Angela has been working as a tax professional for, I believe, a couple of years already as a business of her own. She was working before that at a company. So she didn't have a very strong Google business profile. I remember it had a couple of reviews actually, and no photos whatsoever. A
yep,
lot of the work that they do, it's online. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the office, but it's something that it definitely helps.
yep,
One of the things that we saw it was that there was no optimization whatsoever in the categories.
right.
So this is when you have two categories that are very similar and you serve both. And this happens a lot. And this is something that I recommend. So for example, the clearest situation is with lawyers. So we have criminal lawyers, we have personal injury lawyers, we have different types of lawyers. But there's also those who are generalists, that they just are lawyers. So you get the category, you put lawyers. What's the problem there? That when someone searches lawyers, the competitors are usually mega big law firms, like nationwide law firms
Yeah,
that you usually don't get a chance to compete at all. I'm talking 300, 400, 500 plus reviews,
yeah,
big teams, obscene amount of money to invest on that. You're not gonna challenge that. And I see it a lot because maybe that law firm, even though they do personal injury, they do bankruptcy, they do real estate law, they do criminal defense, they can do a lot of stuff. But if 80% of the business is family related attorney stuff, so divorce, alimony, custody, all that stuff,
yeah.
it's worth it to just throw the lawyer out, put yourself the category like family lawyer or divorce attorney, whatever the
So good.
category is,
Yep,
put it there because you're going to have less competitors. And because already your business is 80% of your cases are within that practice area, you can already get more relevant reviews from that practice area. You have less competitors. It's going to make it easier for you. So in this case, we have the situation where she does accounting, but she also does tax preparation.
yep,
So those are two very different things. So the way that we did it is we first talked with her and we asked her, hey, what are the different services that you offer? What are you more interested in? Because at the end of the day, I can go to the website, I can check all the services, but also what are you more interested in? And she was telling us, what I want to do is business. Business. Why? So the difference between getting a tax preparation from a business versus a person is the following. If you're a person, you have it and that's it. It's once a year. You may refer or not, but that's 1 year. If you tax preparation for a year, you have the possibility of, if they are happy with the results, to then to the owner of the business to do that tax preparation for them. And if that is good, you have also the possibility of doing the books for the
yep,
business. For us, it's if we have to choose between a physical person versus a business, we prefer in this case a business So that's why we chose the tax preparation category, because we knew that we can optimize for small business taxes, accounting, and so on,
Yep.
or business tax preparation, because we know that if we do a good job with a business, even if it's a one-person business, then we can get more referrals out of it.
100.
And in these type of businesses where trust is such an important factor, once you are happy, this is the same with lawyers, this is the same with medical professionals. Once you are happy and satisfied with one, it's extremely hard to get to another one. And you usually, year after year, so the referral networks are huge.
Right.
Huge in this type of businesses. So we wanted to approach it that way. So by sacrificing the accounting section and going more for the tax preparation, we could focus more on the business clients.
Yep.
And that's the type of keywords that we are right now pushing the top one basically there.
And I remember those conversations with the client Angela, where you were asking, in terms of revenue, which one of these services of yours would be the highest leverage point for us to target. That way, for what we're doing, because what we're doing, we're going to maximize visibility, but it could only be for one
Yeah,
at a
exactly.
time. And what you were telling Angela is that the way that she was positioning her brand online, she was accidentally competing with people that were operating at a much higher level, looking to get way more people. But because we were able
Yeah.
to target and niche down on the specific services that we were looking to eventually qualify and then sell, that's exactly what happened. And because we had
Yeah.
intent while we were doing it, we executed and knocked it out of the park. Well done.
Yeah, and here, thank you. And here is the thing. You have to be very pragmatic. I would love to for the clients to rank for absolutely everything. But with clients, in her case, it's a one-person company business. She didn't have a lot of budget,
Yep.
and we were looking to scale the business with
Yep.
all the costs. So we needed results relatively fast. And you mentioned it at the beginning when you mentioned the case study. We needed her to make enough money to finance not only business expenses, but to scale the business and still be profitable, which is something that is very difficult. Sometimes you need, okay, I'm doing pretty well. I'm getting a lot of work, jobs, a lot of clients. Let me keep it this way for a while, and then I'll bring someone. We wanted basically while she was growing to onboard new employees, and so
Yeah.
far it's going well. And let's be honest, we love to do a good job for our clients. We love them to see them growth, but for us as an agency, we want you to grow, because that way we can provide you more value, we can charge you more, and therefore everyone can make more money.
Right.
But you need to understand the situations, and there are some businesses that are willing to compromise one part of the business. Others that say, hey, I'm a lawyer, I do different things, I'm gonna stay this way, and then it's okay, but this is gonna affect the business outcome. It is what
Right.
it is.
No, 100%. One of the really cool things that we set up Angela with in Diamond Bay Tax was a review system. And before we helped them implement this, their review velocity was almost negligible. She definitely had reviews and they were coming in at a great cadence, but it wasn't in comparison with some of the people inside of her area. Can you touch on what that review system looked like and why
Sure.
it's so important?
So reviews, you have originally, to everyone who asked me about this, I used to say that there were two factors, and I believe there are three factors. There is review quality, review velocity, and amount of reviews, period, volume. Her situation was pretty bad. She had, I believe, I would say 5 reviews
Yep.
maximum. I don't
Yep.
remember her having that many. They were recent, like within that year. It's not that recent, but for the things that we find sometimes, it's okay, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yes. Yep.
I've seen law firms like working 40 years, and the last review was like 2 years ago, which
Oh,
is
wow.
diabolical.
Yeah.
There's no other word to describe that.
No,
But
100%.
what we basically focus is, okay, so these three factors, volume, total volume, it's a factor, of course, but here you have to understand two things. There is a critical volume, and then it's overall volume. So for example, if the top 10, they have on average 30 reviews, top 1, 2, 3, they have 180, 60, to make it easy. Do you have to have 120 in order to outrank them? No. but you need a critical amount of reviews. So when people see you in that top results, they're gonna trust you. If you, for example, are searching for a business and that top one is our client with 50 reviews, 57, there's 5 stars, 57, versus the top two that is 89, and it's, let's say it's 5 as well, or 4 point whatever. Yeah, the second position has more reviews, but we've already get that critical mass, so the clients already trust us.
Right.
So the first thing that we want to do always is to get to that critical mass, where even if the second or third or fourth or fifth position they have more reviews than us, it's not gonna significantly affect our conversion rates. So
Right.
that's one. The other factor is review velocity. So that's basically cadence. Your competitor can have 100 reviews, you can have 50. If they get in 1 review per month and you get in 5, not only you're gonna catch up with them, but Google really values the freshness of the reviews, that you are getting reviews all the time, because that means that our clients right now
Yep.
happy about your service. So Google, that's something that it's super valuable.
So
And the
good.
third factor is the quality of the reviews, because it's not the same, nor for Google nor for the clients, to see a 5-star review with no comments than a 5-star review with a very nice review showing the whole story. So in this case, in Diamond Bay Tax, a story about last year I was doing my taxes with another professional and they went wrong. The tax authorities,
Yep.
they called me because I had to pay extra money. I almost went to jail, and so on and so on. And then explaining why Angela did that such a great work, maybe with the client and a photo with Angela, like a selfie or something like that.
Yep.
That review carries so much more weight than a 5-star review with no comments, no photos, and anything. So that's super important. And also this is a little tip here, but some of the clients, they may have a special business profile. So those who give a lot of reviews, upload photos, and so on, Google has a tier. So you can be level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. And these are like what it's called the local map experts or local guides.
Yep.
They're popularly known. And these are people who are more trusted with Google because they are already submitting a lot of reviews, a lot of information to their system. So if you get review from them, that's a very powerful thing compared to a fresh account review. Google doesn't trust that much.
Right. No, 100%. And one of the beautiful things, so when I first started SEO, I was like working with my mom and she's a massage therapist and we were out of Modesto. I didn't know a ton. And so like we were talking about earlier, I'd bumped my head on all sorts of stuff, learning. Eventually, I learned enough to get her to the front page of SEO or of Modesto just so that she could sell her business, move to San Francisco, and we had to do it all over again. And I learned the same process from scratch, but along the way, I found out that if I got her one of those QR stands, that way her clients can just touch the stand with their phone as they're leaving, her review velocity shot through the roof. Now, for somebody who's traditionally not super outgoing, doesn't want to like bug people for the extra steps after they've already gotten the full commitment from the
You
client,
should.
you
You
could. For anyone listening,
should.
dude, you need to get over that. If it's getting in the way of
Yeah.
your business, it's something that we have to get over as business owners. However, this is something that Daniel has introduced into our system that now makes it a part of our process that helps all of our clients to adopt this style of kind of a
Yeah.
review generation. And if you
Yeah. Correct.
if you can touch on just like the QR stand and how we send it to
Yeah.
people, what is it? When have we seen it be the most effective?
Yeah, no, for sure. Reviews are super important. And one of the before even the QR stand, what we always do is, hey, go to create a list of all your past clients, the ones that are the happiest, and just call them one by one, send them a message. I prefer to call them if possible, even send a message, ask for a review, see how they are doing, because that's a way to instantly bump your review, get a very nice initial boost, start getting tractions. Depending on the area, for example, in the case of Diamond Bay Tax, it was already enough for her to start getting calls. So that was already pretty good. And once you get that initial push, what you need to do is, hey, how can I convert as many clients as possible in reviews?
Yes.
As John was saying, you can either, when you were there, you can call them, you can go around them. But one thing that we found that it's very good, especially for businesses that are in person, that you have to go to the office, even if the whole process is online and in the office you just go to sign the papers or whatever, it really helps to have a physical object there reminding you of, hey, leave us a review. And
So
it's
good.
also very easy for us because what you have to do, you have two options. You either put in the QR stand that we send you, it's not
Yep.
only QR, it's also NFC. So you just tap your phone, like you grab it, you do poop,
Yep.
and it's already pops up there directly the link to the review. So
So
it's you
simple.
poop, click it, leave the review, 5 stars, done. So it
Easy.
takes literally 20 seconds to do it. Or if not, you can just scan the QR code and the same process. So it's very easy. Everyone can do it. And for our clients, it's very easy to point out, hey, you can just scan the code and do the review. And instead of, hey, can you put me a review? The client saying, yeah, we'll do it. Don't worry about it. And so on. It's, hey, can you scan this and leave the review? What you're asking is to scan it. Once they scan it, they either scan it or not scan it. So
Right.
people just, even if it's a bit of pressure of the moment, they just scan it and then you just have to leave it. So it's
Yep.
very easy. And that helps us getting as many reviews as possible, keep the machine going. So of course, with the initial work that we do, plus those initial review, we keep the momentum going. That's super important, especially when you are the underdog and you have way less. So one of the things that we always do with clients is, hey, you have to get a list of all your previous clients that you had, that they are happy with the service and everything, and reach back.
Yep.
Call them, send them a message, whatever, because that's going to give you a very nice initial boost to get to that critical mass that we were talking. But
Yep.
on top of that, if the area is okay, if there's no problems, with that plus our optimization, you should start getting more calls, more clients already. At least in this case, it was like that. So we need to make sure that we convert as many clients as possible into reviews.
Nice.
So what we set up is, hey, we're gonna send you a QR code that it's on an NFC stand. So when this works especially for businesses that some part of the process is in person. So when you go to sign some papers, you're gonna go there to file the taxes or whatever. They can just tell you, hey, instead of would you give me a review, and they say, yeah, I'll do it. You never heard
Yes.
anything from them.
Right.
Is, hey, could you scan the QR code and give me the review? Or could you just stop and just basically you grab the phone, you put it there, and it's already in your notifications, is the link. You
So
click the
good.
link and you write the review already. So that really eliminates a lot of friction, makes it very easy for clients and also for business owners who maybe they are not so willing to go call after call, reaching back for a review to get the most out of the clients. And that's help us build that and continue building that momentum that it really makes or breaks the business, whether they're gonna start getting they're gonna be in the top one consistently, even if they don't have as many reviews as other more established players, or it's just, hey, Google, you had review velocity, you maybe uploaded 10 reviews, you haven't done anything, you're going down.
No, that's a huge point. And Angela's velocity proves a point in terms of how these reviews affect her ranking because she was able to take into her environment the responsibility of making sure that was something that she developed inside of her business. And she was able to maximize our efforts alongside of what we were doing while we did it, which was the
Yeah.
results speak for themselves. The proof is in the pudding. So
Yeah,
the next,
definitely. And I think it's the difference, yeah, right, between a very good work and a normal client,
right.
whether they are willing as well to put everything that it's needed in order to grow their business. Because sometimes we say, damn, like it's your own business and you are just not willing to put any effort into it. As simple as asking for reviews. You are not willing. Some people don't. You have to respect that, and kudos to Angela for doing that because it's one of the best practices that you can have.
Agreed. Angela, if you're out there watching, long distance high fives to you. You're doing an amazing job. Cool. So that pretty much covers the parts of our current client base and the pains that they were experiencing, exactly how those were playing out in their business and the ways that they could have made improvements, and then what were the solutions that we brought to the table and how we were able to get them into an area where they're making more money, they have more calls, and their rankings on Google are in a place where they're proud of. So I do want to finish up with a couple more questions about us in terms of maybe just some tidbits for us, and then two questions so that the audience or for whoever's watching can take this back to their team. The first question for the audience and their team would be, what is the single biggest thing that a professional service business could focus on for their SEO right now?
We already said a couple of tips. So to change a bit, I would say get reviews. I think it's a super good practice for actually two things. I believe that you as a business owner, if you're a good professional, you have the moral obligation of doing that because there is a lot of very bad practitioners out there.
Yeah.
Think lawyers that they don't really care about the clients, medical professionals who are doing very bad jobs, tax professionals who are getting their clients into problems because they don't do a proper job. So if you are proud of your work and you think you're a good professional, getting those reviews so people can actually get a solution to their problems, I think that's already one. And two is good because it's gonna help your business grow.
Yep.
Period. It's an important factor, and that's something that you should be constantly doing.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. And I would not even change the answer on my side of this. I would respond as reviews too. It's low maintenance, easy overhead, and it's so simple, but it makes such a massive difference in your business and what Google is giving you in your online presence, brownie points for. It's a no-brainer in terms of a lever that most businesses can pull. Okay. And so if somebody is in the professional services and they're almost starting from zero, what would be the first thing that we would recommend for them to do?
Usually, professional services, they are location based. So that's something that is already positive. For example, most of the keywords related to the business are going to have local intent, which means that you are already all the competitors outside of your area are out of the window. So that's pretty good. And then if you do a good job there, you can fairly easily rank for at least some keywords, get some traction, get some calls, get some clients from there. So our recommendation and the way, for example, that we approach clients when they tell us, hey, I have X budget, what can I do? It's mostly if there are professional services, local businesses, is to go for local SEO, work that first because it's gonna be the most cost efficient,
Yep.
highest ROI thing that you can do. Then you can work on the website. Yeah, it's important. You can get a lot of traction there. Don't get me wrong, a lot of traction. But local SEO, it's the king of ROI. And yeah,
Yeah. No,
I would say that's the key.
absolutely. I'd back you up on that 10,000%. The biggest reason being is that I'm a big proponent of not redesigning the wheel. And one of the biggest things that Daniel has taught me is that if we're going to go to build online, let's build in a place where we already know traffic is consistent and we're able to see the
The
traffic,
path.
the
Yeah, the
path
path.
where people are already traveling. And instead of building outside of the path and then trying to coerce groups of people over, we can build in line with where that traffic is already handled. In our modern day 2026 here in the States, usually where people are shopping online with their phones is on Google. And if you have a Google Maps presence, one, it's simple to set up. And if you are the type of person that is really committed to your business, Daniel and I have a service where we can optimize and manage this Google business profile for you on a month-to-month basis while still getting you higher rankings. And definitely going to back him up on that answer. All right, cool. So for two closing questions, they're going to be business oriented. These are for the folks that are maybe towards the beginning portions of their business journey. And this is just going to be our 2 cents in terms of trying to help them out. The first question is, why are we personally so passionate about this kind of work for service businesses?
Oh, okay. This is something that we I answer and then you answer, or
Or we
how
could,
does?
I can go first.
Ah, yeah, you can go first.
A
Yeah.
100%. So for me, like I had traversed through maybe three different what I thought were going to be careers where I went to school for kinesiology and then I didn't continue through with that. But then I had moved into IT and IT management where I had gotten my first tidbits of SEO. It's also the first place where I had worked for a multi-million-dollar brand and it was in cannabis in the Central Valley. It was my first time fully being like the authority over the website and the web development. Now, cannabis has a way of selling itself, but we were still not within the top map pack. And I was able to get some training in SEO because the problem we were experiencing was there wasn't enough traffic. We needed to get better rankings. The solution that we came up with was to speak to one of the nation's top SEO guys at a lending institution specifically for cannabis. I was able to work with him for about 6 months and we got my cannabis brand onto the first page. They were doing, I think, a little over 20 million in sales a year at that time and I was a one-person IT team over 5 locations. It was incredible, and it was an experience that I had never had before in terms of the value that I was able to bring to a brand or to the team around me. And I fell in love immediately. That's when I started going back home. I told my mom all about the things I was learning. I was like, let's get you ranking onto the first page. I want to help more people. And it's that drive to see other people win inside of an environment that is too technical and built against most people that are really focused on just their business. And so I got passionate about being like that guy behind a chair for their Batman or for their superpower or superhero journey.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's me in a nutshell.
No, that's super cool. That's super cool. I think through the whole podcast, people see what I'm passionate about. That is helping
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah.
Talking with small business owners, helping them grow their business. That's the thing that I love the most. And when I started my career, I was at an agency working. It was a good job, but at the end of the day, there are so many layers.
Yeah.
And especially in this type of agencies, there's a big disconnection between the specialists doing the work and then the people talking to the clients. You have the account managers, founders, sales representatives, and so on.
Yeah. There's a lot of folks inside of that line of communication.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm doing the job, but I'm never talking with the clients. I'm never experiencing that. And there's something that gets lost there. My father, he worked his whole life in construction. I got that from him that I like to build stuff, like to be proud of my work. And in most cases, I was just doing a spreadsheet in a WordPress. It wasn't very fulfilling.
Okay.
So that's why, for example, I started working more on the local SEO. That's one of the reasons that I partnered with you, because I knew that I had the opportunity to talk with these clients, to have a feel of their business, to understand what they are looking for, and then help them grow, get more with diamond pay tax. Like it's still sometimes it's like it feels amazing and a bit surreal.
Yeah.
But hey, the work that we're doing, it's making our business grow, get more employees.
Right.
That's something that it's, to be honest, it's awesome and I love. And that's one of the things that keeps me in the SEO and helps me say, you know what, I think this is an industry that is worth pursuing.
That's amazing. Awesome. And then the last one, start first. What's one lesson from our job that we think every entrepreneur should learn at some point? So as you can tell from Daniel and my journey, like we've bumped our heads on things enough times and with tenacity so that we can figure out with intention how to make these things work. And so
I think you handle it better than me. You have a lot of hair, man. Like,
oh
yeah,
shoot, these are all braids. They're all tucked in to make sure they stay. No.
aha, okay, okay, fair enough, then, fair enough.
Oh, but no, that's fair. And that's really the nail on the head. It's for one of my biggest first principles in terms of my business is to figure it out. no matter what it is. If it's along my journey to success, if it's along my path to helping the people that I've committed to helping, I need to figure it out. And for any but new business owner, there's always going to be so many obstacles. It's going to take longer than you thought. It's going to cost more than you thought. But if you take the time to figure it out, you will own the process. And over time, you'll have so many reps that nothing can get in your way. And that would be what I leave people with. That's a really good principle, but it can be hard. It can be really frustrating, but it's worth it. Yep.
Oh, it's what I'm gonna say. It's probably similar to what you just said. I feel like nowadays we have this, and I don't want to be disrespectful, right? But I feel like there is not this culture of learning in
Right.
general. Okay, this is like more general Western world.
No, yeah.
It feels like learning is like a time of your life. Like once you get out of high school or university or whatever you're doing, that's it. You stop learning. And that's not the case. If you want to be a business owner, if you want to succeed,
Yes.
you need to learn. You need to learn stuff outside of your of the thing that you're doing, because you maybe were you were a good practitioner, but now you're a business owner. You need to learn about sales, you need to learn about marketing, about processes, systems,
Yep.
human resources, taxes.
All
Like you
of it.
need to learn about so many things. So and learning, I feel like it's like a muscle. So the more you are used to learn, the easier it gets, right? So
So
if you
good.
are learning all the time, you're not failing, you are learning. You fail, but you just go back from a bit of distance. You learn, you see what you did wrong, you learn, and then you go forward. I think that's key. And that's something that probably is one of my main positive things. I have a lot of negative traits, don't get me wrong, but one of the positive ones is that I really like to learn about everything in general. Makes life more exciting. Like every couple of years you get a cool ability.
Right.
And that's what, for example, one of the reasons I'm working in this industry. And I've met people, wonderful people like John, that otherwise I wouldn't. I would be in Spain, maybe working, I don't know, in Deloitte, in Santander, some bank or something like that. And I wouldn't be able to speak English, talk with people in the States, England, Australia, other places. That's something that is super relevant. And especially if you're a business owner, the ability to learn is super important, super important.
Absolutely. So good. So good. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up. That sets the foundations for most of these topics. If anybody wants to, they can always go deeper on any of this, but what we've covered here today should get you exactly where you're trying to go. Faster controls, quicker redesigns, and real digital growth without the headaches. We can be your dedicated team to help with your SEO journey along the way. If this is clicking with you and you want to level up further, hit subscribe, drop a comment with what challenges this helped you through, or book a discovery call with Daniel and I so we can help you win on Google. The link's going to be in the description. Again, I want to thank Daniel for tagging in all the way from Barcelona, Spain. I really appreciate your strategy in development and executing these ranking systems. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
The pleasure is all mine.
Cool. For everybody watching, thank you for watching. That's all we have to report for today, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.